See if this works, gentlemen.
Exciting times, man.
Very exciting. Okay, let's see if this is working.
Where are we restreaming, mate? Twitter and
Yeah, we are
YouTube?
live on Twitter, live on YouTube. G'day,
Collective
everyone.
shift.
Hello, hello, hello. Let us know if you can hear us.
I can hear you, mate. That's good enough.
All
That's
right.
all I need. Because we're here for a very special occasion, Ben.
We are. Bitcoin has just hit all-time highs.
Incredible.
Let's go.
We were
So we
in
thought
the
we'd-
middle of recording an episode of Ben and Bergs. We stopped and we're going to write the title. And Ben's like, oh my God, all time high. We've got to go live. Give Matt a call. Quickly jump on. Let's do this.
We need to stop what we're doing. So Bitcoin has just hit the previous all-time highs. By the way, can you, if you're listening, can you just let us know if you can hear us all right? And if it's all coming through, we haven't done one of these lives before. Loud and clear, I'm hearing. Adrian, loud and clear. Awesome, mate. Rest in peace, Kensler. Cool. So I think we're good. And Matt, if you want to share it across. So yeah, Bitcoin just hit all-time highs. So according to CoinGecko, 74,500. The previous all-time high was 73,737. And that was set 8 months ago. Now, essentially the reason being is that this is pricing in that Trump is going to be elected. So I'm just going to share my screen. We are now at 88 cents or 88% chance that Trump is going to be elected. 88.6%. So, Matt, the swing states, I think, was it Pennsylvania was the big one that the swing states we needed to get across. And he just looks like he's just going to walk on by.
Yeah, I think Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania at this stage, they're sort of the big three that sort of, if Trump won all of those, then there's really, like, if everything else goes fine, there's no way like Harris can win. And it's at this stage looking like all three of those are going to him. So if that happens, which we'll know those states in the next, like, couple of hours, unless it gets right down to the wire. If that all goes to plan, like Trump will be called, president by the end of this afternoon, like I guess Melbourne time or Australian Eastern Daylight Time, which would be early morning their time, which is typical on the election night. Over the years, you tend to see the election like called like either very, very late in the evening or sort of, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., like New York time. So, yeah, that's what's happening now. The market has, I suppose, reacted how you would expect it. If you told me like Trump would surprise to the upside in terms of just how quickly he's winning some of these key states, I would have been shocked if Bitcoin was still around 70,000. I would have said definitely would have gone up into the 70s and the high 70s. And yeah, if this all goes ahead and he's called president by the end of today, then definitely by the end of the week, you could see a scenario where we're over 80,000 US dollars, and over 100,000 by the end of the year is certainly possible, in my opinion. But a lot to go in between now and then. But at the moment, really surprising market activity, or really surprising election outcome, and likely going to be an outcome at this stage, and therefore the market has reacted how you would expect it to.
Yeah. So Matt, talk us through, like, the market is essentially pricing in Trump to be elected. If he was to be elected, and where are we at? We're at that sort of 88% chance. Like, what are your thoughts on the market? Do we see a bit of a sell-off, or do you think just Bitcoin continues to climb, 74, 75, 76? Do you think we have a bit of a, what do you call it? A bit of a cooling
Like
off period?
consolidation sort of
Or do
thing.
you think we're just jamming to the upside?
Yeah, personally, there's just no like price history. Like obviously, if we're in all-time high period, there's a lot of price discovery, which I could see us getting into the 80,000s like pretty quickly, or the high 70,000s, and then it's entirely possible we just sort of bounce around for a few days before trending higher up into the 80,000s and maybe establishing some levels there. But yeah, certainly. Oh well, it's hard not to be like too bullish at the moment, but I think in terms of trying to wait for either 75,000 or 74,000 or 70,000 for it to pull back, I think you've just got to, if you are thinking about entering, you've just got to think of what you're risking missing out on, which is like a really strong move to the upside. Given there's no former prices at these levels, which why does that matter? Like when an asset's in price discovery, it really just means things can get crazy. Just to simplify it, things can get crazy, like and things can get pretty irrational just because the traders and all the people who use charts have no really, I guess, levels to trade off, to really try to keep it as simple as possible.
And you're spot on because Bitcoin is the most expensive it has ever been, right? So there's
Mm,
going to be a
mm,
lot of craziness. And mate, this might even be the cheapest it's ever going to be. How wild is that? Like of a thought, at least for the next, however many months.
mm. Oh yeah, definitely. It's a possibility for sure. So I think the big things I'm watching is just if Harris, can regain some momentum in some of these states like Pennsylvania, or yeah, some of those other key ones. Even I think Wisconsin and Wyoming. Um, but really, I think that as we can tell by the Polygon or Poly market sort of odds, they are what they are for a reason. And if we see Harris, I think if this continues the way it is, what you're going to be wanting to see is Harris, sort of whatever they call it, sort of conceding.
Concede. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be the next thing to watch if things keep going the way that it is. Um, and then we'll have to keep sort of monitoring for there's no contested election like what people had been sort of speculating there could be if it was really tight, but at this stage it doesn't look like it's going to be a close result, meaning the odds of a protest or anything like that really goes away. So again, just more uncertainty just eliminated. And as we've been telling collective shift members all of these months, if there's sort of five outcomes really, it was a blue sweep, a red sweep, or Harris winning with a Republican sort of controlled Senate, or Congress, and then vice versa. Or the fifth scenario was it was just so close that there was just like chaos in the market and a lot of volatility. And that fifth outcome would have been the worst case scenario. So now I think we've also been telling members, yes, this is a big event, but ultimately, even if something happens like Harris winning, ultimately you're going to have a removal of the biggest source of market uncertainty, which is why we've seen Bitcoin and just not assets in general. They tend to do well after the election anyway, just because you get that elimination of uncertainty. So that's also going to be contributing to, if all this continues and Trump goes ahead and wins, that's also like another reason why prices may elevate higher, because all of a sudden people have a lot of money to deploy with more confidence.
Yeah, great points everywhere, Matt. And I think, like you said, market uncertainty leading up to the election. The last three elections, we've had that sort of consolidation period, and then we've had the election, and then we've ripped. Even with the Biden administration, I think we went from 12,000 to, like, I don't know what it was, 30 or 40 last election. So with the market clarity and the boost that Trump has been saying, I mean, like, he's been talking about the US being the home of crypto. Like, he wants to, obviously the US government is holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Um, if he was to be elected, the idea that pushing the technology and the growth of the industry in the US is massive, right? So I think for a lot of the utility tokens, Ethereum, and all the altcoins are gonna it's going to be a sigh of relief, I think. If he was to be elected again, I'm saying if because we're still at 87%, and I think we don't want to get too excited, but um, it's certainly a good position to be in. We've got about 170, 180 tuning in live on Twitter, guys. So if you've got any questions or whatever, please fire it across. We'd love to jump into it. One of the big discussion points, Matt, recently has been like the ETH BTC chart. If I'm sharing that correctly, let me bring that up. With Ethereum, performing relatively poorly over the last little period. I think if you look at I'll bring up the ETH BTC chart here.
Yeah,
Show
it
you
hit
that.
its lowest point since 2021 earlier today.
Yeah, well, there you go.
The
It
ETH
has
BTC
been.
ratio.
Yeah, it
Looks
has been
rough.
performing relatively poorly. Like we're wanting to see a bottom of this in hopefully soon. Um, Matt, do you think like a Trump administration starts potentially a bottoming or a turning of like ETH and the altcoins?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they're the riskiest of all of the cryptocurrencies. So therefore they'll bounce the strongest. So yeah, if you're not really, I think I saw this put well earlier today. If your favorite altcoins aren't bouncing in this market wide rally, like that's a very strong red flag. So that's just a side note, but yeah, I would be expecting ETH and Solana and the others to bounce more strongly than Bitcoin. Um, there's a case for why Bitcoin can continue to go up through to 100,000. That isn't really as strong for the altcoins, but I think you could see more of I guess, a deeper and more wild speculation sort of hitting the altcoin space. Well, both now and probably the next 24 hours if things keep going the way they are. But I would almost say after Bitcoin makes it through to like post 100,000, and after that, if we do even get there, um, that's would be my case for when alt season would really like kick into overdrive. But we're certainly seeing a really nice like relief rally in a way for altcoins that have been hit so hard in 2024 and even in 2023. So it's no surprise to see some of these performing particularly strongly. Ben, if you filter by 24 hours, we might see who the best are performing. I'd expect Dogecoin to be up
Yeah,
there.
memes.
Yeah,
There you
given
go.
its association with Elon Musk and the Department of Governmental Efficiency. So that's what Elon Musk and Trump. Elon Musk has sort of proposed creating this department with Trump. So that's the acronym for that is Doge, of course. Um, so yeah, if things go ahead and this is a red sweep, so meaning Republicans get the House of Representatives and the Senate,
Oof.
um, that would push a lot more law. That would just, in simple terms, make it easier to get a lot more laws passed without much as much like vigorous debate between Democrats and Republicans. So the what is probably the only bear case that I've seen come out of if there is a red sweep. One bear case could be if Trump is to really clamp down on government spending and this Doge, this governmental efficiency sort of initiative really, I guess, comes into gear and Elon Musk is involved. We know how well he's done at cost cutting the likes of Twitter and whatnot and still getting the same sort of output. If Trump was to actually follow that, as he sort of has hinted at, but not really committed to, that could actually you could argue that would be like really bad for asset prices and cryptocurrency, and that could only happen in a Republican controlled Congress, so Senate and lower house. If the Democrats were also controlling one of them, you'd never see laws like that pass. But I think, yeah, ultimately, I really struggle to see that going ahead anyway. But we've seen so much of the US economy be propped up by heavy government spending, and so much of the job market be propped up by new government jobs that continue to be created that I would be really shocked if Trump actually went ahead with some of these discussions about the Doge initiative. But hey, we'll see what happens there, and it's a bear case to be considering at least.
Bergs, I want to get your opinion here. As we just ticked above 90% likelihood here on
Yeah, wow.
Polymarket. Also, just quickly before I get to you, Bergs, just on the swing states, we look at the swing states are just all just swung completely into Trump's favor here, which is
Phew.
huge
Yeah,
movements.
Georgia's a big one. Georgia's like 20 counts for 20 votes, and they need to get to 270 to win. So Georgia's really big. But yeah, look at that. Just read out a couple. I'll zoom in on that one, Ben,
Yeah, I'll zoom
if
in.
you
Yeah,
could. Yeah,
so
we
do
got
I.
Wisconsin at 93%, Arizona, yeah, 88, which they would have just been started voting now. Um, but yeah, wow, all of them. What a day, gents.
Bergs, I want your opinion, man, because you've worked in government, like the pandering that's been going on by both parties. Like, how much can we take from Trump as like actual stuff he's going to do to crypto versus like just complete
Mm,
nonsense?
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff to consider. Like that Department of Governmental Efficiency is interesting, but it's also hell on earth to actually get that done. Another interesting
Mm,
one was the tariffs that Donald Trump was thinking of imposing. And you're thinking, okay, tariffs, so great. My things from Amazon that come from, let's say, China are now going to cost 100% more. That allows people in the States to start, creating things, onshoring things, but that needs to be propped up by government as well. So the things that they take a long time to actually implement these things, figure them out. They cost a lot of money in the short term as well. Even cutting government will cost money, as counterintuitive as that actually seems, because you need to get things done. You have to pay people out. You have to move them on, redundancies, so on and so forth. And
Mm.
you're right. So it's whether they end up getting both sides of parliament and they're able to push things through at a faster rate, rather than if the opposition was in as well and you had to convince them. Then you need bipartisan things going on. So look, as with most government, you know, there's a lot of promises to win elections, right? Like even in Australia, we see, um, man, I don't even know who's in charge over here. That's how little it
Albo,
actually matters. Yeah, there you go, Albo,
Albanese.
going
Yeah.
going about like hex debt and reducing it by 20%,
Yeah.
and I'll basically pay off 20% of your hex buying votes. But these things are promised, but it takes a long time to get them through. Things may change. You always have to make negotiations and soften things. And I think that just the market clarity we seem to be getting now is what the market wants. Like weird shit is going to happen all the time. There's going to be white swan and black swan events. But what the market wants is like, okay, this is happening. I can now account for it, like in the decisions that I'm going to make. So, say I was a business owner, like I would be looking at the tariffs, the onshoring, where the government's going to spend, any initiatives that are coming through, and model that in. The closer I get to clarity there, the more I'm going to make decisions with my money. So, I guess in answer to your question is, it's great that Trump is relatively pro crypto. He's spoken about it a lot, and that is what he is signaling. But then, actually, when he comes into government, it's definitely going to be a slow burn. So he'll still talk about it, still be positive. As for the actual actions, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, great points, Bergs. Um, it. What are the downsides here, Matt? If we talk just devil's advocate, um, what could go, if we if say we're going pro Trump for crypto at this point before the election is actually officially announced, what could happen here that could go against us? Like, what should we be aware of?
Well, I think just getting through today, making sure that you know, yeah, Trump does actually win these swing states, which is looking like it does. Um, yeah, the certain reasons why the cryptocurrency market, may still struggle in the next few weeks. Uh, I must admit, like the number of options are really small, and I'm sort of clutching at straws to think of some. But I think one big one would just be like global turmoil in escalation of the Ukraine Russia war and events happening in the Middle East, and also events happening in Japan with the Japanese yen, which from my understanding is really very much has been sort of a band-aid effect of the events that happened earlier this year, where if certain situations align, that sort of distress in the Japanese market could and the Japanese economy could really resurface, in a bigger way. So that's another sort of you know potential like reason why crypto markets could tank. And we've also know that U.S. stocks, mostly the major indices, are at all time highs. Um, that inherently doesn't mean that they are ready to plummet. However, they've been going up, like making new all time highs, like what feels like uh, most weeks in the past sort of 12 months, really. History would suggest that run can't really last much longer. um, I personally still expect them to keep going up, making all-time highs, but it's certainly possible that, hey, the US stock market really calms down and crashes, or at least like slides, goes down 25% or so over the next 6 months, or even just goes down 15% or so, and cryptocurrencies would likely struggle in that scenario. And the last one I can think of, which again, these are all, I must reiterate, is sort of clutching at straws. I do still expect Bitcoin to finish. I think it can get close to 100,000 by the end of the year. But if not, certainly into early next year. The only other one I can think of is the US dollar, just really continuing to perform very strongly, which risk assets prefer the US dollar to be quite weak. So we've actually seen, if what I recall earlier a few hours ago, the US dollar is actually really strengthening in this latest move, which um, if that happens over an extended period of time, call it a number of weeks at least, that may be another reason why the crypto market may struggle to really rip higher. But again, I think all signs are looking great.
It's getting harder to see
Oh wow,
those.
that says it all there.
Yeah, it's getting harder to see those scenarios. And Ben, mate, I want to know how
Yeah.
you're feeling with all of this because last week I was in Melbourne with you. We're doing a podcast. We're above 70,000, 71. We're starting to go up. You're getting really excited. You're looking forward to this election so we actually get a result. Trump would be the best result for crypto. And you're 99% in crypto with your personal investments and your business. Talk us through how you're feeling in this moment, mate.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, the fact that so many lives, like, and this is, we're just in crypto, right? Like, at the end of the day, crypto is a very small part of, everyone's, the world. But to have such an impact, I've never closely followed an election like this ever. In fact, I actually arguably move away from politics because I fucking hate it. It's just like a bunch of pandering bullshit, in my opinion. I tweeted, jokingly that I didn't even know who was the president of Australia before.
We
No,
don't
was
have a president, we've got a prime minister, mate.
It was sarcastic.
I
That's good.
literally I blanked on it because like Albo hasn't even been on TV or doing anything.
Yeah, no, it's just nonsense. So, no, look, I think the fact that Trump is, pro economy, pro technology, pro crypto is super exciting because not only will all of the investors benefit, all of us, as investors in the space, businesses, but also the technology is going to be, really pushed forward. Like, how many companies have been sued, moved outside of the US, Wells notices, just all this bullshit. Um, because they don't like the space. Like, I think for, if Trump is to be elected, and I'm hoping that nothing crazy happens here, that it's for the first time actually going to give some clarity for those people building the space. You know how frustrating and hard it is to build a crypto company in
Oh,
crypto when there is literally no rules, but yet you do something wrong in their eyes, and then you just get thrown a Wells notice, or like a, you just get sued for, like, out of the blue. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, what
and
other
then
industry does that?
all your time and effort has to go into that and
Mm,
prove that you're not doing something wrong, which is
It's
crazy. And then
nuts.
even crazy what you said before, where certain projects when they launch in the crypto space, there's a list of areas they won't service, which is like North Korea, some war zones, some human rights areas, and America. Like the United States of America is on that list. How wild is that? Just to say,
It's nuts, right? Like, the fact that,
mm,
yeah, look, regardless, this is going to be massive for everyone in the space. I think the market is going to perform extremely well. I think it's great for, businesses that are building. I'm just excited that, but it still fathoms me that this is a 4-year thing. Like, if Harris was to be elected, we just have to sort of, roll up and cop it. Like, it's such a, and again, this is
mm,
across different policies, different, that is the election, but it just has such a massive impact across so many different areas. One thing that was so fascinating to me, boys, and this was something I tweeted before, around the mainstream media, and where was it? Yeah, like, if you load up, even now, right? I guarantee you load up CNN and Harris will be leading this election somehow, right? Like,
oh,
the mainstream media is absurd. Like, you flick between different channels, you're going to get a different message across all of them.
mate, I flicked on the news for the first time in probably 3 years yesterday, and it was like Channel 7, and they had Trump being almost assassinated, and then some outlandish thing that he's saying, and then Harris saying Trump is unhinged, he's unstable, and I'm
Yeah,
like, how does this even break? Like, I understand why they're doing it for ratings and potentially wanting someone to, but I'm like, we're in Australia, like this is so crazy to even see that behavior about Kamala Harris being so far in front,
it's
parroted
nuts.
here in Australia through our media, which was just crazy. I did not expect to see that.
Um, you'd have to think, Matt, like, what happened last time when Trump lost? Like, I mean, he caused an absolute ruckus. That was one, but they'd be starting to come up with the narrative, the message. who lied, whose fault was it? Trump did this, Trump. It's going to be, and to be clear, that would happen as well if Harris was to be elected. It'd be all a fraud and a
Oh
complete
yeah,
sham, and like,
yeah.
yeah. What's going on behind closed doors, mate? Are they, I'm sure they've already thought of it. To be honest, what's the excuse if they lose? Both parties.
Yeah. I think like yeah, they'll be doing their post mortem and whatnot about what they got wrong. Like we're not political experts, or we don't even really. It's not even super relevant
No.
to why Harris lost. But there's a number of like likely go to reasons. Like I think the number one reason I'm seeing is more that she just happened to be the backup in terms of like in the remaining campaign, and therefore it was tied a lot with the funding. Like they would have to reset their funding sources if Harris didn't get nominated to replace Biden. From my understanding, that was sort of she was an easy option to do as the backup when Biden sort of couldn't go on, and I think now they might just be looking at, okay, did we just take the easy option? Because from all reports, like I don't follow I don't follow US politics super closely, but I've always passively followed it over my entire crypto journey the past 7 years. And what I do understand is Harris was very unlikely to be nominated as the Democratic sort of candidate.
That's the key
If
point.
it was just from a blank canvas, like so she sort of stumbled into it, for lack of a better term, and that sort of now has been reflected in the results. But yeah, there's many other reasons that are being put forward. But yeah, interestingly, it's like, okay, what happens now? Let's just say Trump goes ahead and wins. Like his inauguration, I think people often forget, is not actually until the end of January. So like he won't actually start. He'll be president elect for like 80 days, something like that. Which yeah, again, even that says a lot about government pace of government. So you'll have the
Yeah.
Democrats having to do a transition and sort of, I guess, like transitioning all their policies and whatnot. A lot of handing over the baton. The votes will formally be counted,
Caretaker
where
mode. Yeah.
all the election states or whatever hand them into Congress, and they count them. That's actually happening, I believe, on January the 6th. So again, that's all just a formality. And given the margin here, you wouldn't expect any contesting of that. You may remember Trump in 2021. He actually pressured the Vice President Mike Pence to actually try to overturn it in what was actually the counting of the votes. He actually didn't go ahead and do that. And now since then, I've looked it up here. They've actually made some rule changes where that likelihood isn't even possible anymore. So what happens to people like Gary Gensler and whatnot, that will all be topics that will be discussed on crypto Twitter over the next few months. Does he just like pack up and leave before Trump is inaugurated? They'll have the whole things of Trump nominating who he wants to be SEC chair and all of that in the interim. Gensler might leave, sometime later this month or December. That in and of itself, I would expect to be a really sparking a rally for crypto. That'll be a huge day if that goes ahead. And you'll expect to see outperformance in tokens like DeFi. Like you're already seeing it at the moment. Like the cryptocurrencies that have been beaten up so much by the Democratic sort of presidential term, they'll be the ones that bounce the strongest once you see the DeFi tokens that have had so much scrutiny over them in recent years. So people getting optimistic now that the US won't be so harsh on their regulations against DeFi as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I really like your point about Harris being appointed, not nominated and elected. Right. And
Mm, mm.
yeah, it was just in the last sort of week, it was phenomenal the amount of like celebrities that came out and supported Harris, like really like trying to drum up so much support. And Ben, just looking at this screen, when we started maybe 20, 25 minutes ago, Harris was at 12.5%. She's now down to 5.9%
Yeah, this is
chance
just
of
going
winning.
nuts. Like,
Wow.
look at
Trump
this.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's 94%, 6%. Incredible, incredible to witness. And we've got to remember that the crypto market, I believe, is the leading indicator of all leading indicators. It's accessible anywhere in the world. You don't necessarily need KYC, you just need a browser. And it's a 24/7 liquid market. And we're seeing that reflected in the prices. My screen is just completely green.
It's a good place to be, boys.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
A
You may
couple,
see other things as well, like what are the promises Trump made? There's a lot of talk about Ross Ulbricht, or also Ross Albright, the
Yeah.
guy behind the Silk Road, which Trump promised to free from his lifetime sentence. So you'll see crypto Twitter talking about whether he follows through with that, and then just more generally, the World Liberty Financial project that the Trumps are associated with, and more generally, just all the other crypto stuff that Trump has sort of hinted at or promised. That will be the narrative, I reckon, over if this goes ahead over the coming weeks. Will just be, hey, is he actually going to do this? What's happening with the Bitcoin, the 200,000 or so Bitcoin that the US government holds, which Trump again has sort of hinted at maybe they will decide not to sell that. So in a way, removing some of the circulating supply for Bitcoin, at least for his 4 years. As Ben said, it's pretty crazy that could then all flip again in 4 years. But yeah, as a team at Collective Shift, we'll be doing a lot of work on the implications over the short term, and indeed what this means for the rest of the bull market, which has now just been what do they call it in hospital bergs, where they have the clear and then
Yeah. Oh,
what do
the
they call that
defibrillator.
again? Defibrillators. We've been in 52,000, 54,000, 72,000 for 7 months now, and the defibrillators come out and the bull run's resuming.
Deep even zap. Let's go. Hey Ben,
Yeah.
on that chart, do you want to zoom out to the monthly chart? Because I want to
Yep.
see how big this candle really is. And what this means in the
Yeah.
oh, look at that. Let's go.
Yeah, just double click the sidebar, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
love and look at how tiny 2017 is. This is a key point for everyone, okay? It's like that $20,000 mark where 2017-18 is, and that was the biggest pump we had ever seen. You've got 2021 there as well. We've already eclipsed 2021 and we're just going into uncharted territory.
you love to
So
see it.
good.
I'll remember this
Oh,
day
I
till
remember this
I'm
day
a
too.
very old man.
We're recording a podcast, and I was like, "Berg's got to wrap this shit up, mate. Bitcoin's."
Yeah, we're going live. We're definitely going live. Call Maddie.
Guys, I want you. There's I think about 350 on the live right now. I'd love for you guys. This conference that we're hosting, an online growth summit, is now going to be even better. So in December the 5th, we're hosting a free crypto investor summit. We've got some of the best in the business. It's completely free, no sponsors, no ads, no bullshit. This is going to be some of the best curated speakers that we've put together. Zenica, Chris Judd, Sassano, Checkmate, Matt and I. Bergs will be there. Henrik from Apollo Capital, Lisa, Tori West, the Olympian. We've got Tracy from Bamboo. We've got more that we haven't announced publicly, but we've got Forza, Pav, Jake Boyle. We've got Nathan Gurr from P2 Ventures, Haslop, Tom Mitchell Hill. We've got some meme coin panels. We've got some ETH panels, Solana. Like, it's going to be absolutely epic, completely free. Jump over there, collectiveshift.io/summit, and get your ticket. As I say, completely free. We'd love to have you. And if you need some help with your altcoin selections, this bull market, this is what we do best. This is in the membership platform. You see all of our analysis, our insights. We have token ratings. A lot of these have performed really, really well, and we expect them to do even better this cycle. So if you're keen to jump in and check out some of our membership stuff, you can go over and book a free call on our website. Just hit the schedule your strategy call button. We'll have a look and see where you're at, see what your goals are. We can show you how we can help you achieve those. We can get you started over at Collective Shift, because we're going to make absolute bank this cycle, folks. It's so exciting.
This is the time when you need a service like this to make sure you got your portfolio right, and then also to learn how to sell in the future. Like, we've been through multiple cycles, and selling and realizing your profit and using that to fulfill your goals is the most important thing. Having someone to help you with that, an accountability partner, perfection. Don't wait for another 4 years.
Let's rock and roll, folks. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all.
Ben's,
That timing
Ben's
was
camera's over
good.
in. Oh, he's back. You up to you appreciate us all when your camera cut out, mate.
Cut out. Been doing too much content. We appreciate you all. Hopefully, the odds keep going the way we hope to, and we head to Valhalla. So appreciate you all, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, champions.
Thanks, everyone.